Hello there, friends. Great to be back with you again. How are things? Welcome to From Dublin to Cleveland, episode 142. It's great to be with you. Logan's not here today. In fact, that's because the last episode was filmed about 30 minutes ago. But we will be back soon and we're gonna have the lols. We'll have the crack, as we say in Ireland. So in the last video, we began looking at the crisis of the age, what it looks like to live in the 11th hour, how reality has just gone absolutely nuts. Last episode, we looked at why that is, why now, what the enemy's intention is. And a lot of people kind of began waking up to this about half a decade ago. Some people began waking up to it after the turn of the year. For some people, it was with the, let's be honest, third election of Donald Trump. For some people, it's been progressive. But today we're going to look at just how far back the enemy's really, really been planning and pushing this. Now we could go all the way back to World War II's end and see how the communists infiltrated, especially in Europe and beyond, architecture and art, just to uglify the world and to really cause people to lose that sense of pride in where they live and to try to make beauty ugly. Or that you would look at something and not understand it because it's absolutely pointless and it's an absolute scam. And then have to be like, oh, it looks so exquisite, just to sound cultured. But we're not going to. No, not today anyhow. But we are going to go back to the 2000 and noughties. All right, and today we're going to spend some time looking at Barack Obama. I know some people give him the nickname Barry, but Barry is the name of my brother. So I don't want to pervert the name in my imagination. All right, so the media absolutely went out of their way to try to make Obama seem like a counterfeit Christ. There are images of him with his arms outstretched, like he was hanging on a cross, like Jesus. Or they called him the God of all things, and gave him extra limbs so he would look like the Hindu transgender god slash goddess Shiva. They referred to his second coming, or they called him the Messiah. Even his presidential portrait gave him what appears to be a sixth finger, like a Nephilim. Presidential portraits are very, very revealing, don't you know? Even Emmanuel Macron's, the president of France, I mean, his contains books on transgenderism and the likes, and you look at the absolute state of the French Olympics, uh, or you might even think, regarding his wife, Brigitte. Dude looks like a lady, or vice versa. We could look into that, you know. Candace Owens has done a very, 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 very good job on that recently. But I look at Barack Obama, and I actually see he's very similar to Saul, King Saul in the Old Testament. King Saul was basically an antichrist. Not their Antichrist with a capital A, but the people of Israel rejected Samuel the prophet because they'd already rejected the sovereignty of Almighty God as the ruler of their nation. So the Lord said, okay, fair enough. If you want him, have him. See if I care. But he's going to tax you. He's going to conscript your sons. You're going to get involved in wars you shouldn't be involved in. And for their treachery, they jumped out from under God's protection. And with the Antichrist, we read in Revelation that he is God's judgment on the wicked. Yes, he is Satan's man to try to destroy all life, but he is also God's righteous judgment on the evildoers of that time. And a lot of Christians, I remember at the time, kind of lost their minds. They're like, he's the Antichrist. Well, he very maybe wants to be. It definitely felt like the media wanted him to be, given the names that they gave him. And one of the most curious aesthetic decisions of his regarded the altar of Satan. The altar of Satan is currently in Germany, in Munich. It was built thousands of years ago, and the throne of Zeus was erected in it during the Maccabees revolt. Actually, it really helped spark the Maccabees revolt. If you look around it, it looks like, you've got gods fighting against giants, very demonic imagery, and perhaps a counterfeit version of the war between the Nephilim in the pre-flood world. Revelation 2:12-13 even talks about a Christian being martyred on it, being murdered there for his faith. In the 19th century, in the same year that Adolf Hitler was born in Austria, a German excavator came and he brought it back with him to Germany. The Nazis were occultists, and they would actually use the altar of Satan as inspiration for their Cathedral of Light and for their rallies. They based it on that wicked monument. So why, one might ask, would Barack Obama do the same? He fashioned one of his many stages off the altar of Satan, and the same way that the word says the Antichrist, 2 Thessalonians 2, would exalt himself above all the gods, or Isaiah 14, 13-14, the Antichrist would exalt himself above the stars. A lot of people were very concerned when they saw Obama standing in this above the stars and stripes, the American flag. And then a lot of his policies and positions were obviously very anti-God, very anti-Christian. He was the first US president to light the White House up in the colors of the alphabet people flag, even. But he's not the only politician that people are very weary and suspicious of right now. Even in March 2014, at the Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague, for those who are politically inclined and attentive, they saw that in the middle of the platform or the stage where all the politicians were meeting, there was a hologram of a pyramid. Now, even the fact that they were seated in the shape of an oculus, that's important. We'll come back to that in a moment. But almost every single one of the politicians wore this pyramid as a pin on their clothes. Now, Barack Obama didn't, which some people thought was very curious. They wondered if perhaps that meant that he was going to be the leader of them all, which may well have been his intention. But seated in an oculus shape with a pyramid above was not an accident. Some people might think of the very curious symbol on the $1 bill, but also it harkens back to the eye of Osiris in ancient Egyptian mythology, also called the Eye of Horus. Author Rob Skiba describes it this way: the all-seeing eye on the back of our dollar bill comes from Egyptian mythology. It is directly related to Osiris and his son Horus, who is supposed to be the reincarnation of Osiris. In the Egyptian picture language, the name Osiris is represented by the imagery of a throne, an eye, and the profile of a man. Skiba goes on to explain that the name Osiris essentially means he who has his eye on the throne. Now, in the US, Freemasons actually pray that the spirit of Osiris, locked away in the underworld, inhabit and indwell the sitting president. They do this on the day of his inauguration. I've been to Vatican City. Some people might think that's a strange place to find a man of God. But I love history. So when I went to Rome, I said, well, I can't not. So I prayed up to make sure I was okay and protected, walked in. And my first thought was, yep, this is why Europe has been the epicenter of culture and civilization for all this time. And my second thought was, wow, all the people of Europe were wasting away and dying in plagues and poverty and war. Look at all this incredible wealth. Incredible, yes, but incredible to a disgusting degree as well. And there were a few curious oddities, which I'll go into a little bit later. But in one of them, it was very, very clear that even symbols and artwork and iconography of Mary being venerated, of course, holding Jesus is actually very similar to the goddess Isis holding Osiris. So it kind of gives you an idea of which evil spirits were conferring and moving across continents to create, well, a counterfeit Christianity for so long. Another curious thing that took place on the 9th of August 2015 was when the Empire State Building suddenly began to look like the Hindu goddess of death, Kali. So the newspapers put it this way. Goddess Kali took over New York's Empire State Building as part of an artwork exhibition. If I wanted to see artwork, I think I'd go to a national gallery and just look at something beautiful, not this monstrosity, called Projecting Change, by filmmaker Louis, hey, they actually pronounce this, Salhoyos, possibly, in collaboration with San Francisco-based Obscure Digital. Why would they put the face of a demon up there? To raise awareness about the need to conserve endangered animals. Don't you know that they only lit the skies with demons for the greater good? Mm. Yeah, so I'm not sure which one of these pictures unsettles me the most. And then yes, of course, they began showing iguanas, insects, eagles, and likes. Now, the artist blamed humans for endangering nature. And they said, oh, well, she's not actually the goddess of death, don't you know? Here, she's actually the goddess of nature. She's Mother Nature, seeking revenge against naughty humans who have been doing such a terrible, terrible job to all these animals that we've never seen, couldn't even locate on a map if we tried to. Now, this echoes sentiments by the now deceased Duke of Edinburgh, husband to Queen Elizabeth II, who said, in the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus in order to contribute something to solve overpopulation. Hmm. Hmm. So the goddess of death is Mother Nature. And the husband of a queen said, oh yeah, people are the problem. The problem that there are so many people. I'd like to come back as a virus and just kill them all. Assuming that the monarchical, political, and media sources are in conference with one another. Well, one's mind might go to some very, very dark places. Here's another article, a video. UN climate change official says we should make every effort to depopulate the planet. There is pressure in the system to go toward that. We should do everything possible. Hmm. So all of a sudden, you start thinking about times when, let's say in 2020, 2021, all the media sources every single day would tell you something different, until they're making people sick with worry, sick with fear, um, propagating lies, so that medication, which actually could have helped people, was taken off the shelves. You look at how the elite, political, media, and entertainment elite, try to decentivize women from getting married and having children. The very same people are pushing abortion and doing everything they can to make it as easy as possible to abort the future. One might kind of wonder, okay, well, what else are they willing to do? Are there actually any limits for these people? Now, Khalid's Islamic murderous followers were called thugs. And indeed, thugs is exactly what they were. This from Wikipedia. It said thugs consider themselves to be the children of Kali, having been created from her sweat. However, many of these thugs were captured and convicted by the British were Muslims. Hmm. Perhaps even up to a third of them. According to colonial sources, thugs believed that they played a positive role in saving human lives. Without the thugs' sacred service, Kali might destroy all mankind. So they were killing people, but yeah, for the greater good. hmm The very same rationale that Philip threw out, or that these artists were propagating. It is God who kills, but Bowani has a name for it, is one such source they said. God is all in all for good and evil, not our God. God has appointed blood for Bowani's food, saying, Kun turn cow, feed, feed thou upon blood. In my opinion, it is very bad, but what she can do, having ordered to subsist upon blood. Okay, so basically, we don't want to kill people, but she told us to, so we just have to. Sorry. Boani is happy, and more so in proportion to the blood that is shed. Demons do not have blood, therefore, they want that of humans shed. The Muslim thugs, the article goes on to read, while retaining their monotheistic faith, had fundamentalized Bhavani for Thugi, and she was sequestered as a spirit subordinate to Allah. So yeah, they didn't want to go against their one God religion. They said, "Ah, she's just his helper." Okay. A Muslim thug caught by Sleeman stated, In my heart, I take the name of God, not our God, when I strangle a man, saying, Thou God and ruler, Allah to me Malik. I do not pray to Boani, but I worship her. Other Muslim thugs who had agreed to testify for Sleeman stated they had assimilated Bhavani and started to practice of Thuggy. So basically, anyone who's worshipped this chick over the centuries has become a mass murderer, but it wasn't their fault. She made them do it. They did it for the greater good. They killed people to save people. Hmm. I beckon you to turn your ear to certain individuals you may possibly have trusted when it came to the likes of climate change and protecting people and oh we don't want all those little islands getting sunk beneath the sea. pay a bit more attention to what they say, and you'll realize if they actually care about human life or just want misery and death. And Revelation 9, 2 to 4, and again, I'm not teaching prophecy, but we're teaching prophetically here, refers to the abyss opening up. The abyss is the pit, the bottomless pit, and Tartarus. It's where the angels got women pregnant in Noah's day, been locked away. It says that those locust hybrid demons get out, and verse 4, it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree. Basically, protect the green. They were unleashed to do damage to the people of the earth, the citizens of the earth, but protect the green. We see a picture of that happening in the world today. It's called the Green Agenda. Because the Green Agenda is the religion of the one world government. They call it the Green New Deal. Here's one newspaper. It says, well, I'll say it was an online source actually. It says activists smash tablets atop Mount Sinai to launch faith-based climate push. This was an absolute aberration, where people from across all faiths, including self-professed Christians, although I have to question their position in Christ, given their supposed compatibility with the forces of evil. They literally went at Mount Sinai, which is the same place Moses got the Ten Commandments from Jesus when he wrote them on the stone with his own finger. And then he smashed them and he had to, Moses had to go back up and write them himself. And this time they wrote apologies to Mother Nature because humans are such a naughty, naughty race, naughty, naughty, and then smashed them there as a way of making a covenant and sealing it with the goddess of the earth. Or Jebel Musa, Egypt, an initiative to mobilize faith leaders worldwide to push governments to do more about climate change, kicked off Sunday morning with an Israeli environmental activist smashing mock tablets of stone atop an Egyptian peak believed by many to be Mount Sinai to symbolize the world's failure to protect the planet. What an absolute disgrace. Such tripe, such garbage. But not only is there a push in these days to make the Green New Deal, the one world religion, one of the metrics by which your morality is now weighed and based. But there's also a flagrant attempt to give the middle finger to Jesus and also to prepare people for a new wave of transgenderism or transspeciesism or transhumanism, a new generation of Nephilim or Gibborim. On the 9th of September 2015, Madonna's desecration of the bride took place. Now, she is far from the only occultist entertainment star at the moment. You got Sam Smith dressed as the devil while women dance in cages and there's fire all around them. Katy Perry there, the Eye of Horus, Eye of Osiris. Doja Cat, couldn't tell you who she is. I don't know a single one of her songs. I just know that she dresses like a demon. Tay Swift. Some people are like, she's the best person in the world. I love her. Witchcraft. Look at those horns. Beyonce, I remember at the Super Bowl a number of years ago when the demon Sasha Fierce manifested within her and she literally looked like a man on stage. Lady Gaga, I don't even think I need to mention that one. And then you had Travis Scott, Astroworld a number of years ago when they had the big skull mouth structure And while dancing on stage, there were images of portals behind them. And next thing, kids got trampled on and died. I would beseech you not to assume that these people are ignorant of what they do. I know growing up, people were so, so polite to celebrities. Oh my goodness. They would say things like, "Oh, they don't know what they do. Asher, it's just a bit of harmless fun. Oh, they're under such deception. They just need their eyes to be opened by the love of Jesus." Um, no, friends, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm so absolutely over that. I'm convinced they know exactly what they're doing. Convinced. Okay, and then Madonna is definitely convinced. She's a true believer in what she participates in. So she had a concert, Desecration of the Bride, Arrival of the Fallen Angels. Keep that title in mind. And at one point, while dressed very, very scantily, she was performing holy water on a cross, atop a dancer who was dressed as a nun. Ew. The stage was in the shape of a cross and ended in a heart-shaped B stage. She had Baal in the background, Baal the bull god, to whom Ahab and Jezebel normalized child sacrifice in Israel. And at one point, she was even seen crucified in Jesus' place on a cross. But why call it Arrival of the Fallen Angels? It's because there is a concentrated effort in the world today to push the idea that fallen angels or beings, most people call them aliens, are amongst us. Why? Well, they want to normalize the idea that they're here. So if people who are superhuman begin running around, and they can say, "Oh well, you slept with them. They've been here, don't you know? We've been telling you for years, and you had sex with them, and now look, they're called the Nephilim. Yeah, we warned you. You said we were just crazy celebrities, spending too much money, more money than sense, but didn't we tell you?" And the Vatican is also involved in this, because on Mount Rushmore, there is a telescope affiliated with the Vatican whose infrared used to be called Lucifer. And then people said, "You're so, so evil, evil Vatican, naughty, naughty." And now they said, "Oh no, its name is actually Lucy." Yeah, the fur, that was a typo. Sorry. And wherever Madonna went, so you can even check the dates yourselves, the Pope was only ever 1 or 2 days behind her. Wherever she went on her tour, he followed her on his tour. Some people, again, people might say, "Oh, that's just a coincidence." I am so far believing in coincidences and giving these people the benefit of the doubt. They have absolutely proven that they do not deserve any trust whatsoever. None. We can also add to this, the US government last year, pretending that they'd found alien remains, and then Mexico were involved in that nonsense as well. And even at Eurovision in 2019, if you really want to see just how high up in the occult Madonna is, she came dressed as Athena, the goddess of war. She wore an eye patch like a pirate, one might say the Eye of Horus or Osiris. And she had her dancers running around stage wearing gas masks. Never before in my time on the earth had anyone spoken with masks as much as they did in 2020. Hello. She sang a song called Future or Welcome to the Future, I think it was. And the lyrics were, "Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone that's here is going to last. and she pointed at her audience as she cast her witchy spell over them. Again, like I said last episode, Lucifer had a heart that was a golden instrument. He would put the stones of revelation into his lips. He would sing the revelation. He would sing psalms, if you will. It's the very same here. The enemy is using music, for witchcraft purposes to put curses and chants on people, and they're like, yeah, yeah, Madonna, 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 literally embracing and accepting the curse she put on them. It was disgusting. And then she had her hooded monks build her an altar on stage because, again, these wicked people, knowing exactly what they're doing, the media and entertainment in cahoots with politicians, the politicians always have the occult affiliated with them. The back of Madonna's CD album actually shows her using a Corona computer, or forgive me, a Corona typewriter. Again, do I give these people the benefit of the doubt? No, not anymore. Especially since early into the lockdown, like most celebrities, she went back crap cray cray looking for attention, and or at least that's how it was perceived. And then crawled into her bathtub, butt naked, and said, "COVID is the great equalizer." And what's terrible about it is what's so great about it. It's made us all equal in so many ways. Like I'm rich and you're poor, and we're one. We're together. We're all in this together. It's one for all and all for one. We're like the four musketeers, but I'm the rich one. That's all crap. So yeah, telling you not to hate COVID, not to resist it, but to be okay because it makes everybody equal. What belief system on earth promises to make people equal and it's a good thing? Communism. Yeah, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Hello. The thing is, someone always owns everything. The elite. And then also with the ridiculous attempts from the Biden administration to put Trump in prison. He was sent to the New York courthouse. And on top of it is an abortion statue of Medusa, the Greek goddess who had snakes for hair. And they said, "Oh no, it's in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg." Not quite sure why anyone would look at that monstrosity and say, "Oh, thank you. I'm very impressed with that," even though I know she was dead by this stage. But Madonna's hairstyle is eerily familiar to that statue. Plus, she just looks demon possessed right there. Just her face is just botched, her eyes so wicked. So again, you can assume that in this case, between the legal, political, and entertainment industries and institutions, there was great demonic collaboration. Okay, so in the next episode, we're going to look at attempts to bring in the Antichrist regime. Now, this is not to scare any of you, okay? This is not because I want you to be worried or stressed, anxious, or freaking out. No. Why I'm sharing this is because there are concentrated efforts to steal our freedoms in these days. But evil can be stopped. And I believe wholeheartedly it can get pushed back. And the best days of all time can be ours and belong to our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And we can see the fullness of the Gentile nations and Israel brought in to one big happy family under our Savior and our Lord, Jesus Christ. But for that to happen, we need a church that loves what's good, hates what's evil, resists what's evil and exposes what is evil. And that's what we're doing over the next couple episodes. Okay. So, like before, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're listening on YouTube, please drop them in the chat box below. If you are listening to the podcast, please send your feedback to from Dublin to Cleveland at gmail.com. Have there been any examples that I missed out on today or I didn't share? I'd love to hear what you have come up with, what you've noticed, what you've been concerned with. And let's keep the conversation going. And then, if we have some really juicy comments, we can do an episode and review afterwards. And yeah. We'll compare notes. All right. Have a super special, awesome, wonderful rest of the day, friends. I'm going to see you in the next episode. Cheerio.